Hi everybody. Today we are going to learn a little bit about 3D printing. What I'm going to do, I'm going to be starting a self-portrait that I did where I 3D scanned my head, and then I used a program called Tinkercad, which is something that I use with my own students at the high school that I work at. So first thing that we're going to do, we're going to come over here and we're going to take this file, which is on my desktop, and we're going to drag it over into a slicer, which is called Cura. I'm going to make sure we're on the Monoprice printer, which is what we're using. I have all the settings preset already, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So right now this is 0.06 millimeters. The fill density is 100%, which means how much stuff is inside of it. And the rest of the settings are the speed and temperature, the support, meaning if there's something that's helping it from not falling down, and so on and so forth, right? So since this is a very inexpensive, easy printer that I'm using, I need to take an external drive or a mini SD card, which looks a little bit like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the adapter that came with it, and I'm going to plug it in, and then I'm going to save it. Okay. So I'm not actually saving right now because I already have it on the SD card. So let's zoom over to the Monoprice Mini. And you can see I already have a whole bunch of different selections and different materials, and I'll try to zoom up a little bit on some of those different materials that I've used in the past on this printer and other ones. Other things that you're going to need is you're going to need, depending on the material you're printing on, you need to print with a little bit of regular painter's tape. The wider the better. This is 2.88 inches and some Tresemme. What is this? This is a 5 extra freeze hold, and that's going to keep your print from falling off. Okay? So I'll put those to the side right now. We'll zoom up and let's talk about filament. So I'm using something from a company called Algix, which is in Mississippi. This is actually a 3D printing filament that is partially made with algae, which is, regular pond scum that you see outside, but they actually grow it, then they sterilize it, grind it up, and they make filament with it. So Algix, and they're a really great company to work with. Like I said, this is the Monoprice printer, and here is the touchpad. Now this has a scroller on it. I already have everything preset. First thing that you want to do is, before we do anything, we're going to bring the temperature up. So we're going to preheat it. So we're going to bring that up to 205. Right now it's on 21. And then the build plate of the platform, we're going to bring that up to 80. Then we're going to hit exit. Okay. A couple things about 3D printers. So you have a fan here. And then we have something called a hot end. And it has a nozzle. So think of like a 3D printer, like a really expensive hot glue gun, except it's going in 4 different ways: up and down, left and right, and forward and backwards. So this is called the hot end. The top section right here is called the extruder. What is a little grinding wheel that feeds the filament through the tube, something called a Bowden tube, all the way down to the hot end. And the hot end, like I said, is where it comes out. Okay, so we're going to wait for that temperature to get up, and then it's going to start 3D printing. In fact, the camera mount that I'm using right now, and I'll pull this off real quickly, I actually printed last night just for this video. This has 100% infill, which means it's really solid, but I did put a support. You can see the piece on the bottom here, I ripped it off, but that was to keep it from moving. So I'll put that back right on there. Okay, so let's go back to our temperature and we'll see the temperature that we have. You can see it's already going up almost to the correct thing. I'll hit exit. And we have a move button which we can move things around. So I'll just hit, just to show you how things work, I'm going to hit the extruder. You can hit X, Y, Z, or axis, or exit, or the home axis. And extruder. Extruder meaning that'll make the filament come through. So we'll hit home axis, and you'll see that the actual bed moved and the top section of the Bowden tube and everything else that's connected to it down to the hot end and the nozzle, and it's going to go right to the plate. Good. So let's go back. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to go and I'm going to exit this menu. And there, like I said, the Monoprice is really inexpensive, really easy way to 3D print. I recommend it for any beginners, anyone who wants to get into it. A couple of my students, I work at a design school in Philadelphia, have this model and they really love it, and it's easy to use, and God forbid it breaks, it's pretty easy to fix. And they have a limited 1-year warranty, but Monoprice has been really great and I really recommend it. So we're going to go, here's my little plug for them, we're going to go to print. Okay, it's going to load up. Now there's going to be a whole bunch of different files. The files that you use, which is what I load up on Cura, which is the slicing software. Okay, you can see the bottom one is King Sweeney self-portrait. So we're going to scroll down, and that file is called an STL file. Okay, so we're going to get right on it, and we are going to click it. All right, so it brings us back to the temperature. Now it's almost up to speed. You can see the target is 205. The platform is 80. It's up to 63. And we can pause and print it at any time. I'm sorry, cancel print at any time, but we're not going to do that. So we're just going to sit here for like a minute while it warms up. Now I'm going to bring the plate. I'm going to move it a little bit. It's also good to have an X-Acto blade. Which I'll zoom out a little bit more. I like to use Olfos because they're nice and straight. They're easy to cut. I like to have my plate nice and clean with the blue cutting tape. You don't have to. The Monoprice also comes with a little spatula. These are useful for some things. Other things I use the X-Acto blade, especially if the plate or the print tends to stick. All right, so we're almost up to speed here. What I'm going to be doing, I'm going to put this down just for 1 second. I'm going to grab our Tresemme hairspray. Now, I don't want to put it too early, because if I put it too early, it's going to dry out. Remember, this is a heated plate. Not all 3D printers have 3D plates. I'm sorry, heated plates. I'm using something called PLA, or polylactic acid, which is like a corn byproduct, and it's safe to relatively safe to use for a classroom. But some 3D printers don't have the heated plates, so you tend to use a lot more hairspray and so on and so forth, or glue stick some people use. I'm just going to use a little tiny bit just so it sticks. And we're not going to go through the whole print because it's about like a 3 or 4 hour print, but I'm going to show you the basics of what it's doing. So let's go back over to here where our temperature, so we're at 68. Our heat is right up at 205, 206, so it should be up to 80 in a couple of minutes. And I'll zoom into that. Now, if you don't want to wait, especially with this one, and I can always bring up the temperature while it's printing, we're going to go and we are going to bring it down just a little bit to 70. So now you hear the printer moving. So I'm going to take a little bit of the spray right here, and I am just going to give it a couple shoots of the hairspray. Not too much that's dripping, but enough that it touches where the build plate or the skirt is going to be 3D printing around it. So the fan isn't on yet. So it's going to do the initial layer. Then it's going to start building it up. You see the nice orange ring. Now this will go on layer by layer until it finishes that first layer. And then it'll build up, and eventually you'll have some beautiful pieces just like these. Thanks so much for listening, and good luck with 3D printing. Goodbye.